Okay, friends, let's continue our DM's guide to level 4 from areas 9 to 16. The adventurers find themselves here at the crossroads. It's quite a dangerous crossroads, actually, because the every which way leads into danger. If they go to area 9, let's take them to area 9. In area 9, there's an alarm system, which I will now describe. Sloped roof. The ceiling is 30 feet high at the northwest end of the cave and gradually slopes down to 80 feet high as the cavern narrows into a passage that leads to Area 10. So it starts at 30 feet here and gradually slopes down to 20 feet. The uneven rock floor is dotted with small stalagmites, between which run nearly invisible tripwires made of webbing. These web strands set off hidden rockfall traps. The driders in Area 10 have strung thin web strands between some of the stalagmites, creating tripwires. Any creature that enters a square marked T on the map has a 50% chance of breaking a strand and triggering a trap that releases rocks from a hidden crevice in the ceiling. If a trap triggers, all creatures occupying the trapped square must succeed on a DC 14 dexterity saving throw or be struck by a falling rock for 5 bludgeoning damage. In addition, the sound of the falling rocks alerts the driders in Area 10 over here. A character adjacent to a trapped square or in a trapped square can spot the tripwires with a successful DC 17 Wisdom Perception check. Then track the thin webs to the point in the ceiling where the rocks are hidden. Once it is spotted, a rockfall trap can be disabled with a successful DC 12 dexterity check by a creature in the trapped square. Failing this check triggers the trap. Very good. Then, if the players move to Area 10, the Drider Lair. Ooh, wow. That looks scary. Driders and spiders. The northern half of the cave is home to 2 driders and 5 giant spiders. The driders hide in the natural alcove north of the entrance, while the spiders crawl amid thick webs that fill the top 10 feet beneath the 30-foot high ceiling. The southern half of the cave is filled with thick, sticky webs. These webs conceal an arch embedded in a wall at the south end of the cave. The arch is not visible from the cave entrance because of the webs concealing it. The driders while away the days carving Zurkhwood figurines and writing poems on the caps of Trillimax in Undercommon. A sample haiku is presented below. My queen of spiders, dark diamond of the abyss, snare me in your web. Archgate to level 6. A character entering the cave through the arch gate automatically becomes stuck in the webs. See Dungeon Hazards in Chapter 5 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Carved into the arch are 6 stone niches, each one containing a small stone figurine that weighs 1 pound. The figurines represent a black dragon, a unicorn, an umber hulk, an owl bear, a minotaur, and a manticore. Carved into the wall inside the arch is a stylized image of a mountain with a full moon symbol above it. Close inspection of the moon reveals a half-inch diameter hole in the middle of it. The arch is one of the Hallister's magic gates. Its rules are as follows. If the horn of the unicorn figurine is inserted into the hole in the moon symbol, the gate opens for 1 minute. None of the other figurines have protrusions that fit in the hole. Characters must be 9th level or higher to pass through this gate. The first creature to pass through the gate triggers an Elder Rune. A creature that passes through the gate appears in Area 27 on level 6, in the closest unoccupied space next to the similar gate located there. 1 Drider has a set of calligrapher's tools. The other Drider carries a set of woodcarver's tools and 3 carved Zurkhwood statues of Lolth, 1 gold piece each. Okay, now players might fight them, they might avoid them, who knows? Players are very inventive. Then we get down back to the crossroads. Now the players might end up exploring here to the Drow outpost. The Drow House of Ovrindar established this outpost after discovering the Arch Gate in Area 11C, which is here. So there are two gates close together here. All told, this area contains a Drow priestess of Loth named Melith Ovrindar, a female Drow mage named Thurza Helvirin, Melith's consort, two female Drow elite warriors named Balrin and Talafare, and four male Drow named Altonral, Kalanzar, Rez, and Sabalen. Main Cavern, 11A. Two male Drow, Altonral and Rez, and a female Drow elite warrior, Balrin, stand watch atop a ridge of natural rock in the middle of this 30-foot high cave. So here. Fungi, barrelstalk and ripple-bark grow in small gardens around the ridge. So in this area around the ridge that they're standing on. Stacks of supplies and gear neatly line the walls, while a small iron pot sits on stones in one alcove. If the characters enter in a non-threatening manner, the guards are cautious but willing to summon their leaders to speak on their behalf. If greeted with hostility, the Drow elite warrior sounds the alarm with a single whistle, bringing reinforcements from areas 11B and 11C, here and here. If the battle is not going their way, a second whistle brings the Quaggoths from area 12B. Treasure. Balrin bears an obsidian scarab bearing the insignia of House Ovrindar. The supplies stored in this cave include a set of carpenter's tools, a set of leatherworker's tools, 5 sets of manacles, and enough rations to feed one humanoid for 90 days or the entire Drow contingent, including the Drow in Area 12A, for 9 days. 11B. A little privacy. Melith, a Drow priestess of Loth and the leader of this outpost, meditates and prays before a shrine of Loth, while her consort, the Drow mage Thurza, sits at a Zurkhwood desk reading her spellbook. Here are some portraits of Thurza Helvirin, who is the consort of the priestess of Loth, Melith of Rindar. I like to have portraits of imported NPCs, as you might know. All right, continuing. The cave contains 2 sleeping pallets and a Zurkhwood chest. A skewered dark mantle cooks over a spider-shaped bronze brazier filled with flaming coals. If she had her way, Melith would launch a full-scale assault on the Kuotoa, wipe them out, and then deal with the Aboleth. As things are, she relies on her sister, Teresa of Rindar, sea level 3 for soldiers, and Teresa does not support such a strategy. So, armed with only a small force, Melith has been forced to watch and wait as the Aboleth and the Kuotoa plot to annihilate one another. Melith is happy to let adventurers meddle in the war between the Aboleth and the Kuotoa. If the characters approach her peacefully, she suggests a temporary but mutually beneficial alliance. Melith knows that the only route between this level and Undermountain, the level of Undermountain and the next one down, is the underground river. If the characters slay the Aboleth or the Kuotoa archpriest and return to her with proof of its demise, Melith promises to furnish them with a raft that they can use to navigate the underground river and continue their descent through Undermountain. Such a raft is stored in Area 14, and Melith makes good on her promise. Though she has great affection for Melith, Thurza sees any alliance with the characters as an opportunity to elevate herself in the eyes of Melith's mother, Blonwelv. After Melith concludes her business with the characters, Thurza prepares and casts a sending spell to contact Blonwelv. She warns Blonwelv that Melith has released a group of adventurers from her custody instead of killing them. After thanking Thurza for the information, Flornwell curses her daughter's foolishness and awaits the adventurer's arrival. Treasure. The Drow priestess wears 2 silver bracelets set with onyx, 25 gold pieces each. She carries a flask of wine and the key to the room's Zurkhwood chest, which contains 500 gold pieces. The lock on the chest can be picked with a successful DC 15 dexterity check using Thieves' Tools, or opened with a knock spell or similar magic. Melith's shrine contains a 1-pound obsidian figurine of the demon goddess Lolth in spider form, 25 gold pieces, and 8 sticks of incense, 5 gold pieces each. Each stick burns for up to 8 hours and emits a sickly odor. Thurza carries a spell scroll of gaseous form in a waterproof Zurkhwood tube, 25 platinum pieces in a spider silk pouch, and her spellbook, which has black leather covers traced with webs of gold. The book contains the following spells: Alter Self, Cloud Kill, Evert's Black Tentacles, Fly, Greater Invisibility, Lightning Bolt, Mage Armor, Magic Missile, Misty Step, Sending, Shield, Sleep, Spider Climb, Web, and Witch Bolt. 11C, the Archgate to level 2. 2 male Drow, Kalansar and Sabalin, and a female Drow elite warrior, Talafere, rest here. An archway is set in the back wall and carved with images of falling coins. A thin slot is carved into the archway's keystone. Maybe here. 6 pallets lie spread out in the room. The arch is one of Alistair's magic gates. Its rules are as follows. Feeding a gold coin into the keystone slot causes the coin to disappear and the gate to open for 1 minute. Other coins placed in the slot disappear but don't open the gate. Characters must be 6th level or higher to pass through this gate. The first creature to pass through the gate triggers an Elder Rune. The creature that passes through the gate appears in Area 5 on level 2, in the closest unoccupied space next to the identical gate located there. Talafare wears an obsidian scarab bearing the insignia of House of Rendar, value 25 gold pieces. Now let's go look at our companion. What does a companion have to say about Area 11? Not a single elf could ever truly imagine what sort of hell they had signed up for. Not even Melith or Thurza know for certain what lurks beneath the water, but they hope like hell it isn't an aboleth. Sick Drow. You can keep the number of forces described in Dungeon of the Mad Mage and still add dozens of other Drow, all too sick to fight. Poisoned by the river or afflicted by Elune's touch, they rant and rave as death approaches. The Drow have some supplies to treat the sick, but Melith has already written them off. She only attempts to treat female warriors, prioritizing them over servants and male soldiers. On sweat-drenched bedrolls, the elves writhe while the survivors watch with grim resignation. Melith commands an air of confidence and strides out to meet the adventurers at the gate. Thurza is at her side, clinging close enough to suggest the two's intimacy. The other Drow look to these two with a tangle of hope and resentment. She suspects that the lover in the dark is waiting for the Drow to take to the river to escape. Melith can mention any of the following. Something lurks out there, something that hungers not for flesh, but obedience. Those of mine that have already succumbed to its tyranny call it Elune. Even more call it the lover in the dark. Listen to me, and listen to me well, adventurers. We're both trapped here. You're a fool if you don't think that thing is waiting out there for us, even now. Once you feel its touch, that's it. You won't be dead, but you will be done. So if you want to escape this wretched place, we're your only hope. I've turned to Lolth, but my goddess demands independence, that I prove myself worthy of her love. My sorceress here has turned to our brethren, but the Mad Mage has silenced all magical communication. I've turned to lore and found only the barest hints on what this lover might be, and I hope like hell it isn't an aboleth. Thurza, lover and betrayer. Thurza is feared by all. She alone can whisper into Melith's ear, thwarting those that would oppose her and crushing those that try to usurp or surpass her. Though she loves Melith, there's darkness in her heart that her lover would never suspect. Using this variant, Thurza can't contact creatures outside level 4 with the sending spell. Thus, she cannot inform House of Rindar's matriarch, Vlonwelv, of the party or the Aboleth until after the Mad Mage grows bored and lifts his ban on outside magical communication. Thurza has spent more of her life studying lore than deploying magic on the battlefield, but even she cannot be certain what Elune is. All signs point toward an Aboleth, but gods know that there are other horrors from the depths, many unknown to both drow or man. She can describe an Aboleth in the following ways, provided Melith allows her to. Aboleths are tentacled horrors of the depths that predate even the gods' arrival to this earth. They enslave other creatures' minds with just a glance. The presence of an Aboleth poisons natural bodies of water, killing off fish and sickening those that drink from the tainted sources. An Aboleth's touch begets a foul disease that proves fatal if the individual doesn't remain submerged in water. 11C, Archgate to level 2. Per the Companion, this gate is inactive until Elune is dead, after which Halaster grows bored of his prank. Should the adventurers gain access to the gate, it leads to level 2, Area 5, right outside the Goblin Bazaar. Refresh yourself on their exploits to determine how the goblins react to their return. Okay, then our adventurers might move to here, to Area 12A. And there they will encounter the following. The Drow and their Quaggoths recently expanded into this cavern, which is home to hundreds of bats. 12A. Drow Sentinels. The ceiling here is 50 feet high, but slopes down to 30 feet high towards the southeast, down here. So it's higher here, presumably, than here. Natural shelves and narrow ledges line the walls, ranging in height from 10 to 30 feet. Hiding in the shadows atop 10-foot-high ledges are two male drow elite warriors, Rild and Lausdrar. Bats, harmless bats, flutter around, disturbed by the drow's presence. The floor is dotted with the stumps of felled Zurkhwood stalks and the occasional bat carcass impaled by a drow crossbow bolt. Rild and Lausdrar have taken to shooting bats with their crossbows. Intruders provide the drow with a welcome opportunity to hone their melee combat skills. If a battle turns against them, Rild and Lausdrar use darkness spells to cover their withdrawal to Area 8. From there, they head to Area 11A to make their stand. These drow aren't interested in conversation. If captured, however, they agree to lead their captors to Area 11 to speak with the drow priestess who commands them. Each drow elite warrior wears an obsidian scarab bearing the insignia of House of Rindar, worth 25 gold pieces. The players get to here. This is a kind of Quaggoth area. Here in Area 12B is the Zurkhwood Bridge. It's a 20-foot wide, 40-foot deep crevasse splits the floor. Spanning the gap is the rotting trunk of a Zurkhwood fungus. Living on natural stone shelves inside the crevasse are 8 Quaggoths that serve the drow. The Quaggoths can climb the crevasse without having to make an ability check, as can other creatures with a natural climbing speed. A successful DC 10 strength athletics check is needed otherwise. Moving across the trunk without slipping or falling requires a successful DC 10 dexterity acrobatics check. On a failed check, the creature slips and falls prone on the makeshift bridge, but on a check that fails by 5 or more, the creature plunges into the crevasse. The Drow here are apparently dumb enough to give up their ranged advantage just to hone their melee skills with the strangers. Feel free to ignore that bit of lunacy. This is, of course, from the companion now. You can elevate this encounter into a more tactical fight by utilizing the bridge, the ledges, and the crevasse. The 8 Quaggoths and 2 Drow elite warriors employ these tactics. The Drow wait for the adventurers to be split across the bridge, and they signal for the Quaggoths to attack. They pepper the party with crossbow bolts. Road is on a ledge 10 feet high, and Lal-Zurdar is 30 feet up. The Quaggoths boil out of the darkness, 4 mount the bridge, 2 at each end, while another 2 cling to the underside and pull at the adventurers' ankles, making grappling checks. 2 more cinematically hurl themselves over the bridge, clawing from the air as they soar above the adventurers and provoking opportunity attacks in the process. Rule of cool is prevalent here. The Drow surrender when reduced to a quarter of their hit points or fewer, offering to take them to Priestess Milith in exchange for their lives. Falling. If a creature falls into the crevasse, they take 46 bludgeoning damage. Any remaining Quaggoths might leap down from above to maul that hapless hero. All right, that's area 12B. Let's go to area 13. What do we have here? Wow, awakened trees and a carrion crawler. It's called Zurkhwood Grove. This immense cavern is 50 feet high. The forest of Zurkhwood erupts from the guano and moss-covered floor, the tallest and oldest standing over 40 feet tall. Between the towering fungi lie a few toppled Zurkwoods as well as several stumps. Near the edge of the forest, feeding on a Duergar carcass, is a lone carrion crawler. The deeper forest is guarded by 4 awakened Zurkwoods. A Sverfneblen druid inhabited this grove until a few months ago. When he felt threatened by the arrival of the Aboleth and decided to follow the river of the depths back down into the Underdark. Before he left, the druid cast awaken spells on 7 Zurkwoods in the grove, 3 of which have since been felled by Duergar axes and damage-dealing spells. The 4 that remain are indistinguishable from normal Zurkwoods while they remain motionless. The awakened Zurkwoods try to kill or drive off creatures that cause harm to the grove. They understand Gnomish but can't speak it. The Duergar Iktarve Unsutter came up the river with some companions to cut down Zurkwoods and sell the wood, but he didn't count on the groves fighting back. He was killed by the awakened Zurkwoods and left behind. The Duergar scale mail is not salvageable. The carrion crawler plans to spend the next several hours quietly devouring its meal. It attacks creatures that come within 10 feet of the dead Duergar, but otherwise the crawler just wants to be left alone. A search of Iktarve's corpse and the surrounding area yields a war pick, 3 javelins stuck in a felled Zurkwood, and an empty lapis lazuli flask, 50 gold pieces worth. A thorough search of the grove, accompanied by a successful DC 15 wisdom, perception, or survival check, reveals the gnome druid's old hovel, an igloo-like mound of hardened bat guano. Inside, characters find a ratty old blanket, hiding 2 potions of healing in stoppered cords. The awakened Zurkwoods attack characters who loot the druid's abandoned home. That's area 13 for you. Let's see what our companion has to say about it. Dungeon of the Mad Mage wastes an excellent roleplay opportunity by denying the awakened trees the ability to speak Gnomish. So, axe that. Trees dim but faithful to their creator share the following messages in Gnomish. The water has been fouled and the fish suffer under a dirge. Our father has fled, his work unfinished. The end times have certainly come. The dwarf came armed for murder, and so we indulged him. The maiden calls us to Willowwood. Alas, we cannot reach it, and yet she beckons. This refers to Willow of level 5. In the river's forgotten womb lurks a tyrant that covets all living beings. All right, that's the end of Area 13. Let's go to Area 14, down here. Ooh, there's Area 15. Holy smokes. Okay, well, let's do Area 14 and then Area 15. So here in Area 14, we have Drow Rafts. Dark mantles. Stalactites hang from the 30-foot high ceiling, and two dark mantles disguised as stalactites remain motionless until they attack. Leaning against the west wall are two 10-foot square rafts made of Zurkhwood logs lashed together with thick spiderwebs. Resting nearby are six 10-foot poles that the Drow use to guide the rafts. Although the dark mantles need to eat, they flee if reduced to half their hit points or fewer. The Drow use the rafts to ply the river of the depths. Each raft is built to carry 6 medium humanoids and their gear, though as many as 12 people can fit onto the raft if push comes to shove. Area 15 is here. Stench. A rotting stench fills this 30-foot high cavern. The slime-coated floor slopes towards an underground river. Lying in the slime are the putrid corpses of 3 Kuatoa and 4 troglodytes. Yuck. As the characters make their way along the tunnel leading west, an aboleth crawls out of the water and confronts them. This aboleth is a magical projection created by Elune to intimidate the characters. Elune, the aboleth, can sense the character's presence and creates a magical projection of itself to interact with them. The projection lasts for as long as the aboleth maintains concentration, as if concentrating on a spell. Although the projection is intangible, it looks, sounds, and moves like the aboleth. Elune can sense, speak, and use telepathy from the projection's position, as if the aboleth were present at that location. If the projection takes any damage, it disappears. The aboleth has had unpleasant dealings with adventurers in the past and maintains a healthy fear for them. It uses the projection to warn characters that it will not tolerate incursions into its domain and urges them to withdraw or face extermination. It suggests the characters take the south passage to the river, then follow the current down to Willowwood. It's happy to let them descend to lower levels of Undermountain, for it plans to conquer those levels eventually itself. If the characters seem adamant about pressing deeper into the aboleth's lair, Elune telepathically commands the 18 troglodytes in Area 24 to circle around behind the characters using the passage that enters Area 15 from the south, while it keeps the characters engaged in conversation. At the same time, it calls the 3 chuls from Area 16 to come with the characters from the west, trapping them in the tunnel. Holy smokes. Okay, so we're going to have 18 troglodytes from Area 24 are coming from here. Wow. And then also these chuls are going to come from the west. These 3 chuls here. So you'll have 3 chuls here, and you have troglodytes, 18 of them coming from this side. Come in.
Look what Lumi did.
As soon as the chuls and the troglodytes arrive and begin their attack, the aboleth projection disappears. Alright, that's according to our vanilla source material. Let's take a look at what the companion says. Elune is aware of the adventurers and projects an image of itself to intimidate them. However, keeping with the heard not seen rule of horror, it suggested that Elune merely whispers to a character rather than project itself. Ultimately, there are 3 options at your disposal, described below. These descriptions are written to be in line with the lover in the dark portrayal of Elune. Scene. The projection crawls out from the water and confronts them. Read the following. Water crashes upon the shore, and out from the brine crawls a three-eyed horror with flesh as pale as moonlight. Its fanged maw seems to smile as a voice blooms in your skulls. Our love will be a beacon that rivals even the brightest star. Come, the grotto awaits. I await. Glimpsed. The projection plays out so that the adventurers only catch a glimpse of a tail as the aboleth dives below the waves. Read the following. Wet flesh slithers against stone, and as you cast your eyes down the flooded tunnel, you glimpse a thin tail that dips below the waterline. Heard. Illume projects itself close enough to telepathically whisper to the adventurers, gleaning their greatest desires. It keeps the projection below the water, hidden below the surface. Read the following. The water laps gently against the shore, and out from it drifts a whisper so sweet it makes you shudder with a tangle of fear and need. Embrace me and live forever. All right, that was our area 15. And then lastly, for this video, we're doing area 16, which is nothing less than the lost island of, or at least the lake of the Aboleth, right over here. All right, let's see what the source material says. Monsters. Illume the Aboleth and two chulls lurk in the water, which is dark, slimy, and fouled by the Aboleth's presence. A 10-foot high, 20-foot wide underwater passage connects this cavern to Area 16C, which is over here. Okay, the Aboleth and the chulls prefer to fight underwater. In addition, the Aboleth makes use of lair actions on this level of the dungeon. Although the Aboleth wants more slaves, preserving its own life is more important. If its chul bodyguards are killed, the Aboleth telepathically summons the two chulls from Area 17 as it withdraws to Area 16C, where it makes its final stand. The water in the northeastern half of the cave plunges to a depth of 50 feet. As one travels towards the southwest wall, the lake's depth shrinks to 20 feet. (16C). Treasure Trove. An underwater passage leads to this 30-foot high cave. The water here is slimy and fouled by the Aboleth's presence, and every surface of the cave is covered in slime. The Kuatoa whip and two Kuatoa stand guard atop a pebbled beach strewn with dead crabs, rotting fish, and treasure. These Kuatoas have been magically enslaved by the Aboleth. While enslaved, the Kuatoa remain in constant telepathic contact with the Aboleth, but they can't take reactions. Whenever an enslaved Kuatoa takes damage, it makes a DC 14 saving throw to break free of the Aboleth's control. On a successful save, the Kuatoa flees to the underground river by the shortest route and hides there. Treasure. The thorough search of the beach yields 600 gold pieces, a copper goblet, 1 gold piece, a tarnished and dented silver pitcher, 5 gold pieces, a rotted leather bracer inset with 3 peridots, 500 gold pieces each, and a corked bottle containing a spell scroll of magic weapon. Now to our companion, the Grotto of Madness. Silence is your only welcome in this lightless grotto, softened only by the gentle lapping of water against the shores of some far-off little island at the heart of this darkness. All is quiet, all but the water is still. Dread chokes your heart and your mind. Your mind shudders beneath some looming shadow, a psychic presence you can't shake, a gaze you can't escape. Out from the darkness slithers that velvet voice once again, slipping up your spine and into your very mind. We will be one. Out from the darkness. The adventurers have come to Ilune's waiting arms at long last, and together with the Aboleth 3 chulls, Ilune shall usher in a new age, a golden age. The island's Otiuk statue instead depicts the Mad Mage, with a few strange additions from the Kuatoa. So this should be the Mad Mage token. Let's change that. Perhaps a statue that looks something like this is on the island instead of the petrified Otyuk. All right. And you owe it to yourself and to your players to make this fight as vicious as possible. Hold nothing back. Elun's tactics. With an 18 intelligence, the Aboleth has devised an excellent strategy which plays out in the following tactics. LA refers to legendary actions. Despite coveting the adventurers as its newest disciples, Elun is ready to kill those necessary and enslave any survivors once they're weakened. Elun, as well as its minions, prefer to fight in the water. It will attack long before the party reaches the island, knowing it is disadvantaged there. Should any of them land, it can use a lair action to pull them back into the lake. Elun's attacks have a reach of 10 feet, forcing it to come close to the water's surface and to beach itself if the party is on the heart of the island. Thus, it's imperative that Elun uses his enslave ability early to split the adventurers. With a reach of 10 feet, plus 5 strength athletics checks, and 3 tentacle attacks, Elun should always be grappling weak creatures, pulling them underwater. If an enslaved creature is about to be freed or killed, Elun targets it with a Psychic Drain legendary action to regain hit points. Elun wants a character to touch or attack it while in melee range underwater, so they're exposed to its mucus cloud trait. If infected, that character can only breathe underwater, thus limiting them to Elun's home turf. Using a lair action, Elun casts Phantasmal Force, creating illusory boats or islands that the adventurers might make for. A creature under that spell always rationalizes why things don't pan out and will still consider the illusion real. Chul's tactics. The Chuls are in sync with their master's stratagem and follow the following tactics. The Chuls attack the weakest targets, already determined by Elun, hauling grappled characters into the water and paralyzing them with tentacles attack. Invisible characters, as well as those holding magic items, can't hide from a Chul per its sense magic feature. The 2 Chuls from Area 17, if alive, reach the Grotto of Madness on the 4th round of combat. They're in Area 17, which is over here. So after 4 rounds, these guys will also join the fight. If you find the adventurers are wiping the floor with Elun and his Chuls, add 1d4 creatures randomly composed of Drow, Kuo-toa, or Troglodytes, all enslaved with a DC 14 Wisdom saving throw and taking damage to break free. If you use the variant described in this supplement, Nu Galoob, the Kuo-toa Archpriest, a Kuo-toa Whip, and 3 Kuo-toa tag along with the party. They're effectively non-combatants for their entire turns, are consumed by performing a ritual to regain their god's favor. Nugaloob leads the 3 Kuo-toa in the ritual while the whip stands guard. Nugaloob must perform the ritual for 3 consecutive rounds. If he becomes incapacitated, the ritual is interrupted and must be started anew. To participate in the ritual requires an action. If the participant isn't a Kuo-toa, it must succeed a DC 13 Charisma performance check to follow the ritual dance. So if the ritual is completely mundane and requires no magic at all, but Nugaloob adds his own flair anyway. A character that observes the Kuo-toa realizes that this dance is just an abasement. The fish folk debase themselves before their god with gestures that would otherwise be mistaken as jests. Salvation. If Nugaloob successfully performs his ritual. The Mad Mage's theme song plays. The Koatoa has won Hallister's game. Read the following. Music thunders throughout the cavern. Elune's conscious, a constant presence you can sense like a looming shadow, shudders and dwindles as the Mad Mage's voice booms. Well done! Well done, Noogaloop, my man, my star! You've gone and won my game. Never shall your great people forget your name. For paradise is theirs at last. Your faith has been rewarded, your devotion rewarded, your foolishness rewarded. A wind ripples throughout the cavern. A violent tempest that encircles the Kuatoa, spiriting them into the air. With the crash of thunder, a rift materializes above. You catch sight of some angelic grotto lit by a swollen moon. That violent tempest hurls the Kuatoa through the rift and into that watery paradise yonder. And just as quickly as it came, the portal snaps shut and winks out of existence. The music comes to a shuddering halt, and the Mad Mage's presence disappears. Hallister teleports Noogaloop and any other Koatoa out of the Grotto of Madness to a pocket dimension. If the adventurers return to Area 20, they find all the Koatoa gone, also spirited away to that watery promised land. All right, that's all I have for you for areas 9 to 16 of level 4, the Twisted Caverns. And I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it's useful. I hope you guys comment. I hope you like and subscribe. Thank you very much for joining me. See you for the last video of this series from areas 70 to 24 coming soon. Okay, thanks guys. Cheers.